Hello, everybody. This is Maya Zahira with Psychic Protection Sanctuary, and we are now live in the Spiritual Empowerment Community Facebook group. And this is an extra Facebook Live. Sorry, my nose was itching like crazy. This is an extra Facebook Live that we are doing, and this is a topic that's really important because so many people, well, this happens to everybody. This thing that I'm going to talk about happens to everybody, but especially to people who are on a personal transformation journey. And I see it so often with my clients and my students that I wanted to go ahead and create a video and talk about what it is and how it affects you, what it's all about. And so I'm going to be talking about the up-leveling effect, up-leveling. And before I go into that, as you're joining, if you can tell us where you're joining from, because we do have people from all over. Right now, I am living in Kansas City, outside of Kansas City, out in the country. And so I'm on the Kansas prairie in my little house on the prairie. So I am joining us from Tonganoxie, Kansas. And so far we have Jeannie and Randall and Anne. And go ahead and tell us all where you're joining from. And then I'm going to jump in and talk to you all about the up-leveling effect. As we're waiting for a couple more people to join, I'm just going to really quick give you my website. For those of you who are watching who are new to me, or if you're not so new, but you're just ready to start working with me or to start learning more, my website is www.psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. There's free stuff on there. So if you're like, I don't want to buy anything, there's lots of free videos on there. And there is also information on my paid programs if you want to go a lot deeper. Okay, so Jeannie is joining from Piper, Kansas, which is right by Kansas City, Kansas. And Anne is joining us from Edmonton, Alberta. That's in Canada. So wonderful. I just love technology and how we can connect with people literally all over the world. So right now we just have people on this continent right now, but sometimes we have people from all over, and that's really cool. I just love that. Okay, so I'm just going to give you fair warning that I'm pretty sure I'm going to be looking at my notes a lot for this one, because I did make an outline so that I'm not just kind of rambling around on this one. And sometimes rambling is good. That's fine. It's good to have some fun together. But I have some very specific points that I want to share with all of you about this. If you are a note taker, then go ahead and grab a pen and a paper. There are some things that you might want to write down. And I just got this really strong intuitive hit right now that there are some people who are going to be watching this, including some people who are live right now, who are going to have some big aha moments watching this. I just got that download. So this is going to be fun. This is a really basic topic, but it's super important. And if you don't know what it is and what's happening, it can be so stressful. So here is what I call the up-leveling effect, where you up-level in your life. You go to the next level, and then you notice that there are weird things that happen with your relationships or other aspects of your life. It could be your job or other situations, but I'm going to be focusing more on what the ripple effect that can happen in your friendships, your romantic relationships, family relationships, and so on, when you decide to up-level in your life. Okay, so first of all, what is up-leveling? So this is what I feel upleveling is. And again, this is just a term that I use. There might be someone else who's talking about this, but they're just describing it in a different way. So what I think of as upleveling is when so I've got one, two, three, I've got 5 different ways that you can uplevel. So first, it can be when you decide to respond in healthier ways with people in your life. So with this first version of upleveling, let's say, you have this relationship where whether it's a coworker or a husband or wife or a friend or whatever, and things are not feeling really as healthy as they could be. So you decide that you're going to begin engaging with that person in a different and new way, that you're choosing that new way because it's healthier. Okay, so you decide to respond in a healthier way with a person or with people in general. Okay, that's the first definition of upleveling. The second way that you could uplevel is when you decide to make positive changes in your life. Those changes could involve healthier lifestyle habits like diet or exercise or losing weight or just like anything that you could think of where you're consciously choosing to engage in healthier lifestyle habits. It could be like playing video games for fewer hours each day, or watching less TV, or taking on a new hobby that's healthy or something like that. Another way of making positive changes in your life could be that you decide to go for your goals, whatever your personal goals are. You decide to start making those happen. Another aspect of making these positive changes could be that you begin to release stuff that's not so good for you. So those are all ways that you could be making positive changes in your life. And that's the second way that you could be up-leveling in your life. The third way that you could up-level in your life is by experiencing a spiritual awakening. And for most people, the spiritual awakening isn't even necessarily intentionally chosen. It's just like something that happens to them. They have a spiritual awakening, like all of a sudden they see the world differently, or they have a different way of thinking of God or the divine. And so their spiritual beliefs suddenly change, or their psychic gifts suddenly open up. There's a variety of reasons why this can happen. There are things that can trigger it, but sometimes there's not an obvious trigger. It can just be that at that point in their life, they're ready for that awakening, and it just happens. So a spiritual awakening is another way that you could up-level in your life. The fourth way that you could up-level is through a spiritual initiation. And a spiritual initiation is any kind of activity or encounter where you're having a profound spiritual experience that has a side effect of raising your vibration. So that could be attending a Reiki class and receiving a Reiki attunement. That could be attending any other kind of energy healing or spiritual class, and just simply joining that class or being a part of that group there's a powerful synergy that happens when you join a group where the intent is on spiritual growth. With a Reiki class specifically, there's something that's called an attunement, which is a spiritual initiation. It's a way of shifting your energy. There are shamanic techniques of initiation. There's like doing a fire walk. There's ayahuasca ceremonies. I don't necessarily advocate for or against ayahuasca, but that's an example of a spiritual initiation. Going on like a spiritual retreat. And so far, my list, I've talked about things, spiritual initiation, things that you would do in a group, but you could have a spiritual initiation on your own. You could do a private vision quest where you go out into nature by yourself and you experience this spiritual initiation. Okay. And then lastly, the fifth item on the list of ways that you could up level your life is when you raise your vibration. And so some of these, actually all of the things on the list already are things that will have a side effect of raising your vibration, raising your spiritual frequency to the next level. Okay. But I'm including this separately on the list because I personally have had numerous cycles in my life where like I'll just be kind of staying at the same vibration for a handful of months, and then I can literally feel that my energy is being up leveled. In other words, my vibration is being moved up to the next level because that's just what my system is ready for. And my spiritual support team, my guides and my angels, they know that I'm wanting to keep moving forward and moving up. And so they do that for me. But if you think about it, if you're like at the very beginning of your spiritual journey and you're moved from like 0 to 100, like instantly, could you imagine like it would be way too much to handle. So that's why in our spiritual growth, we experience it incrementally, not all at once. There are people who will experience quantum shifts. They'll go from like one level to like they'll skip a bunch of levels and go shoot way up because they've had some kind of a profound encounter, or just like one day all of a sudden they wake up and just everything is so different and they've shifted way up. I just want to also, just as on a side note, I've been talking about raising one's vibration and going up, but the reality is that when we talk about it that way, in our Western culture, there tends to be an underlying unintentional competitiveness that happens with that, where it's like, well, I'm at a higher vibration than so and so, even if we're not trying to think in that way. And the reality is that when I talk about raising the vibration and I'm doing this, that's a very simplified version of actual reality. It's just a way of helping us understand and making it very two-dimensional, I guess. It would be up and down. Because in reality, there's like sideways and diagonal and up and down. And in my own mind, I think of it as like different radio stations. Like there's not one that's better or higher or more enlightened or whatever. It's just like a different radio station. And so you're on a different frequency than you were on before. So we just need to remember to keep ourselves in check where we're not thinking like, I'm up here now, because then you get into the spiritual ego trap. Okay. But I'm just going to keep talking about it in this like up and down sort of way because it's a simple way of describing it. Okay. All right. So those are the ways that you can up level your energy, that you can up level your life. But what happens to your relationships and to aspects of your life when you up level? There is definitely an effect when you up level, and that is what we're going to talk about today. But before we got into that, I wanted to make sure I was really clear on exactly what I mean by up leveling so that you can really connect with what I'm talking about. So before we jump into that, hello everybody. We have a nice big group now, I think, or we have a medium-sized group. Be sure to say hi and where you're joining from. And it's very good to have you all. So let me see if there's anything here. Okay, so what, and fair warning, I said I was going to be checking my notes a lot. What happens when you up level? Your vibration goes up. So here's the step-by-step process of what happens. When you up level in any of the ways that I just described, your vibration goes up. It definitely changes, okay? Then, hi Sandy from Merriam, Kansas. I'm waving at you that way because you're over that way. Okay, so your vibration goes up. That's the first thing that happens. The second thing that happens is that anyone or anything in your life that is no longer in range feels it on a subtle level. And by no longer in range, I want you to imagine that like you're here, let's say, and remember what I said about not thinking about higher and lower, but it's just easier to describe it this way. So imagine that you're here and there's somebody in your life who's like here and you up level. And so you bump up to here, but it's only vibrationally, energetically comfortable for this person here to have this much difference between you. But when you go up here, that becomes very uncomfortable for them. Okay. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. They can feel the difference in the vibration. What I mean by that is they might not understand frequency and energy and all of that, but on a subtle level, they will feel that something is different with you. Now, let's say you're almost exactly on the same level as this other person, and you guys are like two peas in a pod, and you feel so aligned, and then you have this spiritual awakening. And this person is like, whoa, what has happened with this person? And they feel uncomfortable, and they can feel that you have shifted. Even if your behavior is even if it's just purely vibrational, and you're not even really saying anything different or interacting differently, but it's just your vibration that's different, they will feel that too. It's not just from your behavior. But usually when you up level and your vibration goes up, your behavior changes as well, your way of interacting and your overall vibe. Okay, so anyone who is no longer in range feels it on a subtle level, because there is a range where people will feel comfortable with your energy. And when you move out of that range or they move out of that range, then there's discomfort. Okay. And let's see if there's anything else I want to say about that. So you can usually handle having people who are not at your exact level. Maybe they're down here, maybe they're up here. And that's comfortable. But when there's more of a change, let's say you drop or you go up, when there's too big of a range, it's not comfortable. Okay. So anyone who is no longer in range, when your vibration goes up, anyone who's no longer in range feels it on a subtle level. And the next step is for them, it feels uncomfortable. There's underlying issues from within them that come up. Oftentimes your energy will feel like fingernails on a chalkboard to them, and they won't know why. Again, they might not even be aware of energy at all, but they like your energy. Actually, I saw a meme on Facebook. It said something like about how like your energy irritates their demons or something like that. It was a really funny meme. And it's true. that when you up level, and I mean, it could be literal demons, but it could also just be um, unhealed, unhealed aspects within themselves. Their shadow aspect, all of the unhealed stuff within themselves. When you move out of range, then they feel it, and it tends to stir up their inner shadow. Okay. On a certain level, it can feel scary for them. And also, if there's any level of controlling happening in the relationship, when you move out of range vibrationally, they will try to hook in and pull you down. Because again, if it's a control or energy vampire kind of relationship, they will try to hook in and pull you back down to where they are at so they can keep you there. And again, oftentimes they're not fully consciously aware that they're doing that. And even people who are not necessarily in a psychic vampire kind of role, but just are used to you being your old way, and they are not interested in changing or growing. There are a lot of people on the planet who literally are not interested in personal transformation or spiritual growth or anything like that. And if you've been the same old person for a while and they've gotten comfortable with that and they don't want things to change. And so sometimes they will try to hook in and, they will lash out. They will, try to pull you back down so your vibration lowers, or you begin to question yourself. And then the next thing on the list is that now that you've moved out of range and it feels very uncomfortable for them on a subtle level, then they will either A, shift up to meet you where you are at, or shift up enough to where they are in range, or B, they will leave your life, usually with stomping of feet and drama, and that it's all your fault and finger pointing. In some cases, rather than them leaving, they will throw such a fit that you will decide that you will be the one that decides that they are no longer a fit. So no matter what, the relationship dissolves. Okay. So this often happens with married couples where one partner is very engaged in their personal development, spiritual growth, and they engage in a spiritual growth journey, whether it's joining some classes or a group, or studying Reiki, or what have you. And the other partner is adamant that they want to stay down here, and that they will actually sometimes throw a big hissy fit. And then sometimes, actually a lot of times, when the one person is really engaging very seriously on a spiritual growth path, and the other person is very against that, then the relationship often dissolves. Because not because anybody's bad or anything like that, but because the one person can't stay in their box anymore. They have to up level. Like, their energy is expanding and expanding. They can't diminish themselves back down to where they were before. They can't go backward. It's like impossible for them. And so that there's no going back. Okay. But then there are other times when the partner then does come around and says, this looks really interesting. And then they decide to join their partner on certain aspects of their spiritual growth. Another thing that can happen when you up level is that if there's anything in a relationship that's being hidden, then when you up level, your higher vibration will reveal whatever is being hidden, whatever issue has been under the surface that's already there. When you raise your vibration, when you up level, it's like the veil gets pulled off. And that the truth of what's been hidden will just come spilling out. And sometimes those are behaviors and attitudes and beliefs and things like that the partner has been, or the partner or the friend or whoever has been holding within, and then all of it comes out. Okay, so I personally have experienced a lot of this in my life, and I was talking to one of my students who's also a friend, and I forget, it was a month or so ago, and I had a friend who had been a friend for several years, and like I said at the beginning of this, I was feeling like I don't know if I said it on this video or the other video that I just did right before this one, but I've been in this place where I feel like I am on the verge of this huge up-leveling. Like I'm getting ready to just do all of this like big stuff, and I'm in all this preparation mode for it. I think it was my other video, but that's okay. And so as I've been going through this mode, I had an encounter with a friend that I had for many years. And let's just say, without sharing too much personal stuff, let's just say that it didn't go well. I was very, very, very sad about it. But this friend and student of mine, she said, well, it's because you're up leveling. Like she wants, and it's not about she or her or whatever. This is just a very common phenomenon. When you are stepping out of your box that people are used to you being in, whether it's a friend or friends or coworkers or boss or kids or spouse or partner or whatever, when you start to step out of your box that they are used to you being in, on some level, it is scary for them. And a lot of times the behavior that comes out or the response that comes out isn't even intentional. It's like a reflexive response that's not fully aware, where they will say or try to do things to try to keep you where they are comfortable. Because if they are to stay in your life and you do go up to your next level, then if they're to stay in your life, it would require that they move up too. And sometimes that's not what a person wants to do. Like it can be scary, or it's faster than the person is. It's like too much. It's too much distance than what a person is ready for at that time. And that's, and respect for that. I have total respect for that. Like we all have different growth processes. And again, it's not about going up necessarily. That's just to help simplify it. It's like you're going this direction and this person is still over here, or they're wanting to go that direction. Okay. So when there's too much of a range, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard to their energy. Okay. Questions. What questions do you have? Or can you, as I've talked about this, can you recognize any times in your life when you have had an up level, whether you decided to respond in healthier ways to people in your life, or you decided to make positive lifestyle changes in your life, or you experienced a spiritual awakening, a spiritual initiation, or your vibration simply rose and it like irritated people's demons, so to speak, and it just like made people freak out. Have you had anybody angrily stomp out of your life? A lot of times that is what happens if you're somebody like me who's on like this like personal transformation fast track. It seems like there is a certain level of drama that happens, unfortunately, And the friend and student that I spoke with about a month ago about this, she said, well, when that starts to happen, I know I must be on the right track and I'm doing things right, because otherwise that wouldn't be happening. And I laughed, because at the time I was like really sad, and I was hurt, and I was upset, and I was like, oh, I hate it when this happens. And she's like, well, I figure, like, I know that it's good, and I say yay when it's happening, because I know that I'm moving into a good place, because all the people who no longer are a match are just like leaving. They're self-selecting themselves out. I was like, you know what, that's a great way to think of it. And we can bless and release all of those people, because it's not a race, and it's not a hierarchy. It's just we're moving in a different direction. So you guys, now is a chance. If you want to share any story or any experience, you certainly can. And I'm going to just talk a little bit more, and then we're going to wind things down. So let's see, what else? So what I shared about relationships, I want to emphasize again that it can be also about situations, places, etc. So let's say you're living in a city and you have up-leveled, and then you get to a certain point where you up-level to a certain point. You're getting ready to up-level even more, but you can't fully up-level as long as you are living where you're living, in the house where you're living, or the city where you're living, or the part of the world where you're living, or whatever, or the job that you have, or whatever. So it's not just relationships. It can be all sorts of things. Okay. And the up-leveling effect can be really confusing. It can be really hard. It can be really sad. It can be really stressful. All of those things. It can feel just like people are leaving, it can feel like, makes me sad just thinking about it. But it actually is a good sign. When it happens, it means that you're moving in the right direction. And all that you can do, when someone is getting stirred up, all that you can do is stay in integrity with your own path. You're moving forward. Don't diminish yourself for someone else. Don't abandon yourself. Don't abandon your spiritual journey. So stay in integrity with yourself and with your own journey, and communicate as lovingly as you can with whomever you're dealing with. And, again, it's really going to be up to them. They're going to either choose to up-level or not. And you have to honor that. So if they choose not to up-level and they're still acting out and, projecting nonsense at you, then they're either going to move themselves out of your life, or you will choose to do that for them. So again, it will be up to them whether they up-level or not. So Anne is saying, I know several no longer happy with me. Yeah, Anne, I remember some of the stories you used to tell, and I kind of, actually, have you guys heard of the idea of crabs in a bucket? And I don't know if you've heard of this or not, but I've heard this many times, that like when you have live crabs in a bucket and they're like in a restaurant, they're going to be boiled that evening for the customers in the restaurant, right? So there's all these crabs in a bucket, and then one of them tries to climb out. So starts to climb out the side of the bucket and is like almost out of the bucket. And the other crabs will grab onto him and pull him down. And it's instinct. It's like they're not thinking like, I'm going to try to hurt Bob the crab. Like, they're not thinking about it that way. It's just pure instinct that they don't want the other crab to climb out of the bucket. And I think of that, Anne, because I just vaguely remember that there were ladies who were always like super negative and just high drama and bickering, and that's not you. But they didn't want you to climb out of the bucket. They wanted to just grab onto you with their pinchers and pull you back down. But thankfully, you're not around those people anymore. Anne is saying, I'm only trying to fix me, and it's all for the good. I'm sad if they can't take who I have become. Exactly. Sandy says, it can feel lonely. Yes, it can. I could really relate to that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, when you're up leveling a lot, also, you guys can see, it makes my ears. It makes my eyes tear up, is what I was trying to say. When you're up leveling a lot, like I'm like always up leveling. When you're up leveling a lot, then sometimes it takes a while for the universe to catch up. And it takes a little while before, the next group of people or friends or the job or the partner or whatever come into your life. So sometimes there's a bit of lag time where there's kind of like nobody, or your circle is super small. And there's one important tidbit that I need to point out, and it's that at that point, sometimes people, because they're lonely, will reach for just whomever is there, or like the next partner who comes along, they'll nab onto them because they don't want to be alone. But what's happening is that they end up like the kind of people that they've attracted are still very close to the old vibration that they just came from. And so they end up with more of the same. And so sometimes you have to give things a little bit of breathing space, especially with partners, especially with romantic partners. I recommend this a lot, that if a person has just recently up-leveled a lot, that it's a good idea to just give it some space, give it some breathing room before you jump into your next relationship, because otherwise it will be the same thing all over again. And they will not be at the level that you're at. It's like, it really does take the universe a little bit of time to catch up with where you've jumped to, so that the next level of people who you are manifesting into your life through the law of attraction, the next level of people that you're attracting into your life are at the level that you're at. So it's good to, wait at least a couple of months, let the universe catch up with where you're at. Anne says, it's hard when you can't deal with their garbage anymore, and you realize that you also didn't mind so much before. And Anne says, don't do it. Yeah, because when you up level, sometimes it can be lonely at first, and it is tempting. So you just have to remain in integrity with yourself, and just know after just a little while, the universe catches up, the law of attraction catches up, and you start to attract the next level of people into your life. Jeannie says, for me, it's about putting myself first when that's something I've never done. My choice to do that in a current situation will be shocking for many. But as I read this, I feel like all of your angels are like cheering. It's this like big crowd of cheering angels, like cheering you on. It sounds like a sports, it sounds like a sports game. It's like, like they're all cheering you on. Like, yes, you can do it. Like, this is a major up-leveling for you, Jeannie. And it's an example of when you decide to respond in a healthier way with people, that when you respond in a different way than you usually have, then it can be really shocking, and sometimes there can be guilt trips or other weird things that are said. And that's just because they're adjusting to you up-leveling. And that's how that works. Jeannie says, oh my, yay, it is. That's awesome. Well, that is all that I have to say about the up-leveling effect. Let me check the time. We're good on time. So if you have any questions, you need to type really fast and submit it really fast because I'm winding down now. Thank you for all the hearts and the love. It's been great to spend the evening with you all. And as always, I'm going to just close out by giving my website really quick, www.psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And if you go on youtube.com, I have a YouTube channel with tons of free videos. And the channel is called Psychic Protection Sanctuary. And I don't know how many hours of videos are on there, but there's videos about spiritual warfare and psychic protection, and then another playlist that's about spiritual empowerment and the kinds of things that we've talked about in this particular video. So check it out. There's tons of stuff for everybody. And it's been fun connecting with you all. Let me know if you need anything and how I can be of service to you all. Sending you all my love. Good night.